Welcome. This is Jean Eaton of Information Managers. It is my honor and pleasure to be with you today at Practice Management Nuggets Webinars for your healthcare practice. This is a weekly interview series with practice managers, healthcare providers, or trusted vendors who support healthcare practices. Our topics help primary care practice managers, healthcare providers, and owners to implement, maintain, or improve their business and practice administration so that healthcare providers can focus on providing quality healthcare services. I am your host, Jean Eaton, the Practice Management Mentor with Information Managers. And this week, our guest is Zaheen Naji, a resilience champion, clinic manager, and business owner in Alberta. Zaheen is a resilience champion, clinic manager, and business owner in Alberta, Canada. Embracing change and fear is Zaheen's trademark because she overcame her speech impediment in her 20s, her struggles with weight, and learned to live in a new country at the age of 15 without her parents. Her book, The Resilience Reflex, 8 Keys to Transforming Barriers into Success in Life and Business, became an international bestseller on Amazon Kindle. Zaheen teaches people how to make resilience their first reflex using her 3-step resilience system: release, reprogram, and resolve. Zaheen, it is my honor to have you here today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Jean.
Zaheen, you and I first met at a CAPS conference, a speakers conference here in Edmonton, and I got to know a little bit about your many things that you're doing, the many balls that you're juggling, both in managing a clinic, being a speaker, being an author, and all the other wonderful things that you do in your practice. And you are certainly an example about how to put all of this information together. So, Zaheen, what I want to ask you very quickly is, what is your number one tip for healthcare managers and practice managers about resiliency? What is your number one tip?
That's a great question, Jean, to start off with. And if I were asked that a few years ago, honestly, I wouldn't know the answer. But after being in business and being in a healthcare setting, I would say the number one tip, honestly, that has worked for me, that I would like to share with all of your listeners and viewers, is having mentors that you can ask questions to, especially when you are stuck and you don't know where to turn to. Having those mentors and not feeling scared to ask questions, is a blessing. Just go and ask.
Mentors are a really valuable tool. That's a great tip. Thank you.
Thank you.
What mentors have you had on your journey, Zaheen? How did you come to being the resilience champion?
That's a good one. So when it comes to mentors, I have worked with some in the past, or they've been my coaches. And there will be times that, we may not be, or I may not be a student of him or her, but I'm always in contact via email or social media. So I will keep connected that way. And they're always nice to just give me feedback or, give me a quick answer. And your question about how it has helped to build my strength and to be able to cope is to really model after them. Do you agree, Jean, that modeling is a great way of understanding what works out there and what doesn't work out there?
Absolutely. We don't have to make all the errors ourselves. We can watch somebody else's make mistakes and learn from them, but also learn from their successes. And you might have more than one mentor, and you probably should, because there's more than one thing that you do as part of being who you are.
Yes. So I do have a speaking mentor. I have a coaching mentor. I have a business mentor. And in healthcare, when we started the wellness center that you mentioned earlier in the bio, we had no idea how to run one. And it was after speaking to someone that I'd never met before. And I just asked him that could you help us out on how to start this? What kinds of things did you learn when you started so that we don't make those mistakes? And how to get this going? And he really helped us out. And all I did was take him to lunch.
That's an interesting point. Most of us like to be able to share those things that we're good at. And it only takes somebody to ask the question. I really admire what it is that you're doing about this. Could you give me some pointers? Would you be interested in sharing that with me?
Mm-hmm.
And most of us like to talk about our journeys. So sometimes it only takes the courage and actually asking the question to find a mentor who can help you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a great point. Thank you. So tell me, you've got a long journey, and I've read your book about being resilient. And tell me a little bit about how you came to develop the 3-step resilience system.
So at that time too, I was working with a coach, and I told her my story about how I came to Canada from Kenya at the age of 15 without my parents, about how I've had a speech impediment, and I have been working on it. And then the one word that kept coming to her was the word resilience. And that never occurred to me. And so she sent me on a quest to find 3 things that would make a framework for what I wanted to teach. And the 3 words, as you mentioned, were release, reprogram, and resolve. And the way I came up with that, honestly, one day I was just trying to hack into my own patterns as to how I had overcome my speech impediment, how I had overcome some of the obstacles in the businesses that I've had, how my own family members who have gone through challenges, how they overcame and bounced back. And I realized that there is a pattern. And then I did a lot of research on this trait, that what makes some of us bounce back and others don't bounce back. And I found this same 3 steps in everything that I saw. And that's how I came up with it.
So you worked with a mentor who gave you a task, and then you realized what your observations were about how you managed it, and then saw similar traits of successful people?
Yes.
Okay. So that tells me that you've got a tried and true system that works for you and it works for other people.
For now it does, yes.
That's a great point, and being able to share that information. So what is resilience?
That term is all about, honestly, going through adversity and knowing that, yes, it's going to be uncomfortable, knowing that it's going to be very, very challenging, but then also knowing that you'll come through with new learning. When a lot of people are stuck, or they find they're unable to cope, or they find that their backs are against the wall and there's no way to go around, that's when you need that thought process that, you know what, it's okay if I go through this. It may be hard, it will hurt, but I will come back a new individual where I will learn what I didn't know before about me. And that's what it's all about.
So each of us has the skill to be resilient.
Yes.
And how would we use that as an example in a workplace experience as a clinic manager? How would we use that skill?
So I think my first question would be to the listeners and viewers that and I know that we've all gone through the challenges that we go through in business. We all know we've gone through obstacles, whether it is to do with staff, whether if it's to do with any kind of um, cash flow issues or with new equipment, anything like that. We always have had issues, but somehow, we've always been able to come through, right? Even when it goes with our own lives, even if it's nothing to do with the business or with the healthcare settings, even in your own life, we all know, even in history, we all know that we've gone through a lot of challenges, but somehow we just pull through. And that's because it's in us to be able to pull through. But there is some traits that have helped. So Jean, you are right that we all have in it. I mean, like we all have it in us, but we need to bring those traits out back into our consciousness to be able to bounce back easily.
So if you were to compare somebody that you thought was a resilient person and had those skills, whether they know it or not, and somebody who isn't resilient, what are the differences between the two?
Right. So I find that the people who are resilient are they enjoy learning from their failures. And I specifically use the word enjoy because they know that they will be able to do something different the next time they are faced with the same obstacle or something different. So there's the difference there, that they're curious about what made them have a setback. Whereas other people are not curious. They get all shaken up. They are not able to cope. But if you go in with a mind of curiosity, then I think it becomes easier to accept the setbacks and to keep on going. Don't you agree, Jean?
It does. We need to be able to step outside of ourselves sometimes and view a situation and analyze why did this situation happen and how do you get past it and how do you move forward and learn from it, correct it, and make improvements.
Yes. Now, that's only one of the things that I've seen, but there's a lot more. And the main other thing that I have learned is the support system that they have, whether it's family, whether it's mentors, whether it's their own staff, they always have a support system to fall back on so that they don't feel like they're alone.
Okay. So one of the things that I'm reviewing in your book is that you've identified that negative thoughts and feelings consume our life and block our vision of what is possible. So somebody who is resilient gets past that. They think about it in a different way.
Yeah, so that's actually the first R that I mentioned in my book, which is release. And that's all about changing your negative thoughts to positive. Now, you and I know, Jean, that, like as human beings, it's very hard to think positive all the time, yes?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So when you hear people say, oh, think positive, well, let me tell you right now, that doesn't always work. I mean, we do tend to think negative first, and to let ourselves know that that is okay if you start to think negative first, as long as you become aware of it. So awareness is really important, that you become aware of your thoughts, of the words that you say, and if they're negative, then to understand that you need to change them. But the question becomes, well, how do I do that? The way you do that, and I'm just going to share one tip with you right now, is that if anytime you use the words don't, not, or no in a sentence, so just to give you an example, Jean, if I were to ask you right now, I don't want you to think of the Statue of Liberty. Now, you and I know that you just tried to imagine it even though I asked you not to, yes?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's the way our subconscious mind works, that it doesn't know how to negate something because it still has to bring up the image. So when we say to ourselves, I don't want my client to feel this way about the equipment that I'm using, or I don't want my clients to go to someone else for the services that I'm providing. When you're saying that, your subconscious mind doesn't hear the word don't. All it heard was, you want the clients to go somewhere else, I guess. you know? So first you want to become aware of the negative thoughts and change them by asking, so what do I want? And that's how your brain works, is by knowing what you want. So I want my clients to come to me because of the service that I am providing. I want my clients to be happy when they come in through my door because they know that I look after them. That makes a huge difference.
So instead of thinking that negative thoughts, you think about the positive, or to be able to declare what it is that you want in that future state.
Yes, because when you do that, the images that come up are of the clients flowing into your business. When you say, I want my clients to come and use the service I have because they will be happy, now the images that are coming up in your head are what? Of all these clients smiling and happy that they're coming to you. So when you have images like that, automatically your subconscious mind will say, oh wow, Zaheen, here are some ideas that you could use to have more clients coming into your door. So now you start really being positive and optimistic. And that is where you need to start, is understanding your thoughts and understanding the language that you use.
Okay, so we talked about the first R, release. Is this leading us to the second R, about reprogram?
Yes. So reprogram is, now that you have changed your thoughts and you're understanding what you want, it's now time to find a solution. So reprogram is about creating an outcome mindset. Now, we have a lot of people who will stay in the blame mindset. And there's two kinds of mindset: the blame mindset, or also what I call the victim mindset. And then there's the outcome mindset, what I call the victor mindset. And in the blame mindset, we'll ask questions like, why is this happening to me? Whose fault is it that this is happening to me? Why do I have this problem? And when you ask these kinds of questions, I don't think you'll come up with any solutions. But when you go to an outcome mindset and you ask questions like, what do I want and when do I want it by? When I get what I want, how will this improve my situation? And now when you start asking those kinds of questions, do you see how the brain starts to work and say, okay, you want it by this date. When you get what you want, what is going to improve? Oh, so if I offer the service to, people in this way, it could improve my cash flow. If I offer the service at, certain times of the day, then more clients will be able to access my services. So it starts you thinking and finding a solution.
Okay, so if I'm a clinic manager or a leader in a clinic, and I find that somebody that I'm working with is stuck in that blame game, these are the types of coaching questions that I could ask them to help them come out with an outcomes mindset.
Exactly. And there are just two that I actually gave you there, but there are way more that I could come up that I have also in my book, or if you'd like me to add more, I could do that.
Okay, why don't we do one more example?
Okay. So say for example, in my healthcare setting that I had the wellness center, right? So 4 years ago, we bought a equipment that is used for laser. So we could offer services like hair removal. We could offer services like how to get rid of your spider veins. Okay, that machine was very expensive. And here I was saying, oh no, it's too expensive. I don't think this is right for where we are. I don't know if people can afford to pay for this and stuff. Whereas my husband on the other hand was, no, I think people can afford it, and no, I think this is good, and it's a good, okay, fine. We spoke to our accountant who thought it was a brilliant idea, even after we showed him the cash flow projections that we got from another kind of business in a similar town. So we went for it, and here we thought we would do awesome with it, but guess what? It bombed. First year, nothing. Like, we couldn't even make the payment. I had to take it out of my own pocket. And here I was panicking, thinking, oh my God, like I was in that mode, right? Where I was having all these negative thoughts that this is going to ruin my business and I'm going to go into debt and we're going to close down. I don't know how long. And I had to stop and just reset my thoughts and ask myself, what do I want? And this is where I started to stop the negative thinking. That's the first R. Then the second R is to reprogram. And I asked myself the questions, what resources, so that's another style of question you can ask, what resources do I have right now that could work? And if I don't have any of the resources, where can I get them from to be able to make this work? So one of the things that we had was the email list that we had created from the day that we opened. So we sent out a survey to people and asked, what is the reason that you're not able to use the services? And a lot of the replies that came back was the amount of money it took to come and do it. So this was more of a budget issue. Excuse me. And so we decided, okay, what are other people doing, or other spas that have the same service that we do? What are they doing to help the customers with their budget? And one of the things that came up was a payment plan. And so we thought, I'd never thought about that before. Like, honestly, I had never thought about that. I was stuck in the blame game and honestly, I was saying, what's wrong with this town? Why aren't they coming to get this? We're the only ones in town that offer it. What's wrong with these people? So I was in the blame mindset. But as soon as I started asking the questions, what can I use to make this work? I just used our email list and I sent it out and I said, how can I get you to come and use the service? And after we offered the payment plan, lo and behold, people came in.
Wow, that's a very powerful example, Zaheen. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so you've got this 3-step process of release, reprogram, and resolve.
Yes.
And we've touched a little bit on release and reprogram. Do you want to tell us really quickly about resolve?
Yes. Now, I think the best way to explain this last point is to understand that to be able to continue on with the journey is you have to have faith in what you're doing. So there is three parts to the last R, okay? The first part is having faith that what you're doing is going to work. And if it doesn't work, then how flexible are you going to be able to come up with a new plan? So plan A, plan B, and plan C, right? The next part to this is a positive attitude. And you need a positive attitude because, without that, nothing's going to go far enough. And the third part to this is innovation. So you have to have all three to be able to resolve a problem. You can't just have one or two of that. You need all three. You can't have faith and positive attitude and not have innovation, because you need to be able to understand that, okay, if the payment plan doesn't work, then how else can I make this better? Can I do, instead of doing like a 3-payment plan, can I offer a 6-month payment plan? Will that work then? So you have to be flexible enough to tweak. And then you can't have positive attitude without faith and innovation. So you see how you need all three to be able to continue to make something work. But however, there has to be a threshold that if you know that you've tried everything, honestly, everything, and nothing's working, then you have to learn how to let go. And that's another part of resolve, is to be able to let go and focus on something else.
Zaheen, thank you for sharing your three-step process. We've talked about release, reprogram, and resolve. And these are some really powerful examples that we can use ourselves in our personal lives and as our lives and roles as a clinic manager or a healthcare provider. But in your book, you've also mentioned ways that we can be a coach to other people and to help the other people around us to be able to use these same steps so that we can work more efficiently together and to develop an effective and successful practice. So how can people find out more about you and the resilience reflex?
Right. Thank you, Jean. So they can find out more by going to my website, which is my name, zaheennanji.com. And they can also access my book through Amazon in Kindle format or also the print book. And the Kindle format is $2.99 and the print book is $19.99. But for your listeners and for the viewers, they have a special gift from me. So I'm not sure if you want to talk about that, Jean, or you want to.
Absolutely. So you've offered the 7 Habits of Resilient Women. So that's something that listeners can access as far as an instant download, and you'll see the link on the page that you're on right now. So tell us about this download sheet. What will we get from this, Zaheen?
Right. So in here you will get the 7 habits, because I have found through the research that I did for my book about the women out there who are really masters at handling work life and how to handle their own business, or even if they work as a CEO or executive, they just know how to handle things well. And so I have given examples of, for example, how to wake up in the morning and get things done more in the morning than at night when you're so tired, or just how to outsource some of the things that you can do easily rather than just doing everything yourself. And I found too that I would get asked all the time, how do you get things done? How do you get things done? And so I kind of decided to make this guide available to anyone out there. So that is for all your viewers and listeners out there.
And I absolutely encourage our audience to get this download. Zaheen manages many things very well, so she knows about which she speaks. To download the 7 Habits of Resilient Women, and you can use this as one of the ways to be able to identify a mentor. So Zaheen is available as a mentor to you through her podcast, through her books, through her list, and that is certainly one way to be able to access as a mentor. And that will help you to be able to identify some other potential mentors in your community that will help you to continue to thrive and to be resilient. Thank you very much for this opportunity, Zaheen.
Thank you so much, Jean.
We've talked about the resilience reflex. We've talked about the 3 steps, about reprogramming, resolving, and restoring, and some key tips about how you can be a coach to the people that work with you in your clinic to help them learn these steps to be positive and to develop some outcomes that are positive for your organization. Zaheen has shared with us how to use mentors and has many ways that you can connect with her. So you can connect with her using the download. You can also connect with her to sign up to her podcast. The name of your podcast again, Zaheen?
It's called Thrive in Life.
Thrive in Life. Okay, and you do that just about every week?
No, I do that twice a week because I have 2 shows that I do. I do Thrive in Life and I do a wellness show as well. So I do 2 a month. So yes, 1 every week, but different shows.
That's a lot of items that you've got spinning at the same time. So you are certainly the person that walks their talk, and I encourage our audience to be able to participate and connect with Zaheen and learn more about improving your personal resiliency. All right. So we're going to wrap up our interview for today, and I want to thank you very much for joining us. And to our audience, to remind you that you can sign up for the Practice Management Nugget webinars to receive an email to let you know about our next guest so that you never miss an important episode with us. This is Jean Eaton, your practice management mentor with Information Managers, thanking you for joining us and reminding you that you can connect with us by email, connect with us on LinkedIn, to follow us on Twitter at InfomanLTD, and I'd be tickled pink if you'd like us on Information Managers Ltd on Facebook. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you, Zaheen, for joining us to talk about your resiliency.
Thank you, Jean.
Stay tuned, everyone. I look forward to seeing you again at our upcoming show.